The signs read, "We are all Rodrigo," in a tribute this week to Chilean photographer Rodrigo Rojas. His last words were, "The soldiers burnt me alive." Although 67% of her body was also burnt and disfigured, Carmen Gloria Quintana, 18 at the time of the attack against the two pro-democracy protesters, survived.
They covered our bodies with petrol and set us ablaze. And then they dumped our bodies 20 kilometers away.
This is where Rodrigo Rojas and Carmen Gloria Quintana were set on fire by a military patrol. A simple plaque commemorates an event that became emblematic as one of the worst human rights violations committed during the Pinochet dictatorship. Yet it has taken nearly 30 years to discover that those who took part were paid for their silence and their military commanders actually promoted. In an unprecedented move, Fernando Guzman, a former conscript who belonged to the patrol, has come forward to identify 7 servicemen allegedly involved in the attack.
There was a pact of silence. The military paid me, but I had to keep my mouth shut.
The breaking of the so-called Pact of Silence that has allowed most human rights violations to go unpunished has opened up a Pandora's box, leading to the arrest of 13 soldiers and former officers, including retired Lieutenant Castañer, who allegedly gave the order. Protesters shouted "assassin" as he was detained in Punta Arenas, where until last week he was still working for the army as an advisor. Carmen Gloria Quintana, who lives in Canada, is now back in Chile to demand justice. On Wednesday morning, she went to the prosecutor's office to press charges against anyone involved in planning and carrying out the attack.
I demand that the civilian powers and the president give the armed forces a deadline to reveal the truth and hand over the names of those responsible for rights violations. This pact of silence cannot continue.
She tells me it's not just for her, but for the thousands of other victims of the dictatorship, especially those whose bodies have never been found. This week, an emotional President Michelle Bachelet promised to do more.
Enough of silence. There are people who know the truth. Much is still unresolved. Chile asks them to follow conscript Guzman's example.
An example that could reverse decades of impunity for crimes against humanity that millions of Chileans refuse to forgive or forget. Lucia Newman, Al Jazeera, Santiago.